Welcome back to another video on Desmos. In this video, we're going to look at a very powerful feature on Desmos that allows you to explore the different parts of equations and what they do to the graph. So for example, we're very familiar with lines. So let's say y equals 2x plus 3. So we know that 2 is the slope and 3 is the y-intercept. So if I was to write another line and say y equals 2x plus 4, we know that this is going to have the same slope but be up and intersect the y-axis at 4 instead of 3, right? So we have we're very comfortable with lines, linear equations at this point. So the question is, how do we use Desmos to help us learn about equations that aren't so simple? And the key here, and I'm using lines to keep it simple for right now, and then we'll move into the other one, is let's say that we said y equals 2x plus b. And you see when you put a variable in that's not x or y, you get this option, add slider. So we're going to click yes, we want to add the slider for b. And what that does, that allows us to change the b value. So for example, if I move this over to b equals 3, then that green line is right on the red line, y equals 2x plus 3. And if I change the b value to 4, then the green line is right on the blue line. And if I change the b value to 5, then the green line intersects the y-axis. The y-intercept is at 5. And I can go down to negative. It could intersect at -5 if b is -5. It could intersect at -4.6. And so by leaving a variable in your equation, you can create these sliders and explore what each of the coefficients is doing to your equation. So I'm going to shut the red and the blue one off for a minute, and I'm going to change the green one. Instead of it being y equals 2x plus b, so we'll get rid of the slider. In fact, I'm just going to get rid of all three of these equations. We'll do a new line. Let's say y equals mx plus b. So you can use any variable except x and y, and it says, do I want to add a slider for m, for b, or for all of them? So I'm going to add a slider for both m and b. So when m is 1 and b is 1, this is the line we get. That would be y equals 1x plus 1. And if I change the b value, you see that the slope stays as 1, the y-intercept changes. If I leave the y-intercept at 2 and I change the slope, if I make the slope bigger than 1, it gets steeper. If I make the slope less than 1, it gets not as steep. If I make the slope 0, it's horizontal because that would be y equals 0x plus 2. So that's just y equals 2. If I make the slope negative, it has a negative slope, heads down to the right. Okay, so that's how you use sliders. So I'm going to shut this one off, and let's do one with a quadratic. So let's say we have y equals ax raised to the 2 plus bx plus c. And it says, do I want to add a slider? Sure, I'll add a slider for all of them. So if a is 1 and b is 1 and c is 1, this is our graph. Now let's just change the c. And if I change the c to 2, I think you can figure out right away what that's doing. If I change the c to 3, you see that it's the c value is the y-intercept. So by having sliders, you're going to be able to figure out how different parts of your equation affect your equation. Okay, let's leave c as 1. And now let's change the a value. Okay, what if the a value gets bigger? Well, it gets narrower. We can talk more about this in class. This is a very fast way to explore. What if a is 0? Well, if a is 0, this squared x term disappears and it becomes a line. What if a is negative? We know from our algebra skills that if a is negative, we have a parabola that's opening downward. So anytime you want to explore a function that's new to you, instead of putting numbers in front of each of the pieces, let your coefficients be variables and you can create sliders and see what happens.